base layer here. So
hot mic.
Yeah, the mic is hot.
That's what we
Mics
call
are
it in
on.
the industry.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the pilot episode of the You Made Me Inc. Podcast. We are a Disney Lorcana podcast, and I am your host, Patrick Shaw. You may know me from my previous stint on the Combat Chain, which is a Flesh and Blood podcast and YouTube channel. And with me today is my co-host and wife, Ashley. Ashley, say hello.
Hello.
It's lovely to be recording a podcast with you.
Yeah. If you can't beat them, join them, you know?
That's right. That's right. So what she's getting at, let's go through some intros here. Who am I and why are you listening to me and what are we doing here? So as I said before, my name is Patrick Shaw. You know me from the Combat Chain podcast. It is a Flesh and Blood TCG centered podcast and was formerly on that YouTube channel. Now I am venturing off into the world of solo content with Off The Rails TCG, and we're not just concentrating on Flesh and Blood, we're expanding our repertoire of game support, and that includes Disney Lorcana. It's a very exciting game for us. I am a veteran TCG player. I've spent most of my life playing card games, primarily Magic the Gathering for the first 25 years of my life. And then threw it all away for the young new game, Flesh and Blood. I've been playing that for the last few years. It is what inspired me to make content, and I've been doing that pretty consistently for the last year. And so, Ashley, why don't you give the listening audience a little intro to yourself?
So I'm Ashley Shaw, and I am Patrick's wife. And I don't generally see his face, so I figured if I wanted to, I should make a podcast with him. And I am a Disney nerd. I am a mild TCG player. I have played. I am not by any means at the level of my husband. In fact, he makes me cry most times I play with him. But I don't know why I would want to pick up a game and play with him again, but it has Disney on it. So I'm going to give it a try.
We do, in this household, we like two things, trading card games and Disney. I think that's a safe bet there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I definitely went off the deep end a bit.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
As he tends to do.
I don't half-ass the hobbies.
Yep. No. Nope.
But TCGs are still a huge part of my life. They've been with me since I was a kid, and like I said, it was primarily coming from a Magic background. Into Flesh and Blood was a kind of a thrilling experience. But when Disney announced that they were releasing a trading card game, it gets all sorts of people excited. So like I like trading cards, and that's I'm a mild Disney fan, I think, compared to you. So
yeah, I love Disney.
So tell me, how much do you love Disney?
I love Disney a lot. My first tattoo was a Tinkerbell tattoo when I was 18 years old. I frequent Disney, aside from the fact that my daughter is an all-star cheerleader, so we generally end up there once a year. But prior to that, I was still pretty frequently going to Disney World. I am a Disney adult, and I am not ashamed of that.
We honeymooned?
We did. We honeymooned in Disney, which was one of the only times I've been to Disney. I think the only time I've been to Disney without children, which was, I highly recommend it.
It was a magical time.
Not been to Disney without children, and you are a Disney person, I recommend going.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're a Disney family. We've been a bunch. I think half my wardrobe is Disney based.
Same.
It's just it's ingrained into who we are. So once you combine those two things that really build the foundations of one's identity, you tend to get drawn in. So enter Disney Lorcana in September of 2022. They announced this Disney Lorcana, and they introduced the cards at the D23 Expo, and we saw them and immediately kind of perked up to it. And now we're into, it is, as of tonight, it is February 1st, and the Disney Lorcana website has released more information, so we kind of have an idea of what's going on here. Not an entire idea. The Lorcana Twitter itself has been, they know that they haven't released everything. Like, what we don't know is gameplay.
Yep.
Right. So that's going to be the big question on everybody's mind, is like, exactly how do you play this game? But I think we can kind of combine our TCG and Disney knowledge to kind of have some fun with what's going to happen here and how it's going to go about. I would say, I think one of the first things is, regardless of the gameplay, right? You throw the Disney license on something like that, and it's immediately going to make an impact.
Yes.
So, there are, I think, our peer group and kind of, fandom groups in general have already kind of started to get drawn to this just for the collectability of it.
Yes.
So, for me, outside of the potential in the card designs, those, the art, right? The iconic characters in the art are one of the first things that stand out.
Yes.
I think as someone looking to get into a collectible card game such as this, before anything else.
I also, I want to know if you or I are saying the names correctly, because we say it differently. You say Lorcana and I say Lorcana, and you say Ravensburger apparently.
Yeah.
And I say Ravensburger.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just interested in knowing who's right and who's wrong.
Potato. Maybe we're
though?
both right.
Is it?
Maybe we're both wrong.
I don't know.
What do we know about Disney Lorcana? So it was limited release in September with the gift set, and the cards first came out then. And around that time, we had an idea of what is going on. And since then, they've released very limited info. But what we do know is that the game is surrounded by the idea that the players are what they're calling Illumineers. Illumineers use magic inks to summon Disney characters as glimmers. And some of the early featured Disney characters are like Maleficent in her dragon form, Elsa, Cruella de Vil, Stitch, Hook, Robin Hood, and Mickey Mouse, brave little tailor Mickey Mouse with the scissor sword. Those are all some of the iconic characters that have come out there. In December, they identified the inks, and so they labeled 6 of them. So there's Amber, Amethyst, Sapphire, Emerald, Ruby, and Steel. So there's 6 inks total that they've announced so far. Without knowing anything else, what does this kind of remind you of at face value?
I mean, the coloring reminds me of Magic the Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I don't know, because the steel throws me off a little bit.
Yeah, right. The 6th element to it.
Because the rest are, unless I'm incorrect, the rest are some type of mineral.
Okay, yeah.
Or steel is not a mineral.
Gem, mineral.
Yeah, but I mean, a gem in itself is a mineral, right?
But it does, right? So I think it kind of strikes us as
Yes, they are both precious metals, and gems are subsets of minerals.
There we go. So so the magic comparison is the first thing that I make. So without anything else going on there, Illumineers, Planeswalkers. Right. Your inks kind of remind you of the mana cards, the forest, swamp, mountain, plains, islands, and the summoning of Disney characters as glimmers aren't one for one, creatures or the Planeswalker cards, but you have it's kind of a probably a safe bet to say that those inks will be used as resources to be able to cast these characters as temporary versions of themselves.
Yeah.
In the form of a glimmer there. The fact that there is 6 resources is very interesting. I'm curious to see how they combine those in whatever way they choose to do so. What they mean and how they get there, I think, is one of the bigger questions and kind of unknowns here. All right, so let's take a look at an individual card. So I've pulled up Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor. There's some things that we can kind of we can surmise and kind of infer from our experiences in TCGs, and others are still kind of a mystery. So the first thing would be on the upper left corner is the 8. Now, traditionally, that's the resource side of things. 8 seems to be a lot.
Yes, compared to the other cards, yeah.
So it'll be curious to see. Well, I'd say let's back it up a little bit here. So before the cards themselves, the actual kind of mechanics of the game is kind of unknown, right? The gameplay itself is not quite known there. Disney doesn't strike me as the kill your opponent type of company.
So what I noticed on the Cruella card is that they use the word when this character is challenged and banished. So I'm wondering if banishing is the way that they're saying killed instead of saying killed. But I know that we've seen similar wording on like Magic cards, and that's not what it means. But whereas this game is more palatable for a younger crowd because it starts at like 8. I think 8+ is what it says on it. And it's Disney. It might mean dead.
Yeah, and you bring up some good points there, right? So are they going to kill people? Probably not. But if we look at some of the other games, I start to look at something like Pokemon. So Pokemon doesn't have an objective of killing your opponent. They have something off to the side. They have prizes that you set off to the side. There's still a one-on-one battle happening, but as you and your Pokemon defeat your opponent's Pokemon, you get one of their prizes.
Yeah.
And once you've gotten all their prizes, you've won the game.
Yeah.
Right. So an alternative objective besides lethal damage in some way.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. But that is it is purely speculation, because we don't know. We don't know for sure at all. And you had brought up the Cruella de Vil. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's So you bring up Cruella de Vil and what she says. Let's get into some of how the card is laid out, and let's speculate on what we might be seeing here. So with Cruella, we see on the upper left-hand corner there's the 2. Traditionally, the upper left corner is where either there's some sort of identifier in terms of mana, or in this case ink affiliation, but also a resource cost to it. So that 2 to me is immediately I see that as the resource cost in some way.
Yes.
We've seen the Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor has up to an 8 cost to it, which is a pretty drastic difference between the 2.
But if you look at the little numbers, and compared to the other cards, he does have a high, what I assume would be offense and defense numbers.
Yes.
So the 5 and 5. But if you look at, if you go back and you look at Cruella, she's got a 2 whatever cost, assuming. And she's a 1-3.
Yeah, right. So it isn't immediately apparent on the top left what has to happen and what is identifiable there. As you go down, so you have the card art, And that is, I don't know if that's unique to the game or not yet. I haven't dug that deep yet, but that is, it's Cruella art. And I expect that we'll get unique to the game art styles and not just, it'd be cool to get both, iconic images, but also, original art for the game. But, you have the name of the card, Cruella de Vil. She has like a little byline that says "miserable as usual," so that looks like strictly flavorful. On that same, so the bar is green, and I think just below that "miserable as usual" is a little symbol, and I believe that actually ties into the type of ink.
Yes, it does.
So we know that this is an emerald hero. So in the middle is two fun words. So there is, the first word is storyborn, and the next one is villain.
Yeah.
Now, if we look through some of these other cards here, it's not just storyborn. Elsa, for instance, is dreamborn. Maleficent, again, is storyborn. Robin Hood, storyborn. Stitch is floodborn.
Yeah.
Right, kind of a odd title there. Mickey Mouse is Dreamborn. Captain Hook is Dreamborn. So it's not just strictly, up until Captain Hook, it was strictly like villains storyborn. But
I'm interested to see what that ends up meaning, because it's not even necessarily tied to the same story. So like they released an Olaf card for Amethyst. And while Elsa is Dreamborn, the Olaf card is Storyborn.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
So if we look at, if we start comparing to other TCGs, we look at what subtypes and supertypes mean to the game, right? So if you look at, if we use Magic the Gathering, instances of tribalness, in other elementals, right, knights, creature types, things of that kind, and the support cards around them, right, would that affect only, right, storyborn heroes or dreamborn characters or something along those lines, where you would get a some sort of support card that might be specific to that. And the same would the potential for the villains, right? Maybe when you combine both of those, your deck is going to be filled with, storyborn, either just strictly storyborn or maybe strictly villains, and your support cards affect either storyborn or villainous characters, and they do whatever they do. All right. So if we continue on to the other side on the visual right of the card, it has a sun symbol with the number 1 on it, and a shield symbol with the number 3. So the sun symbol is likely, right? It's probably its attack power, right? It's not a sword, it's not a blade. Right. I think that's a Disney thing, right? It's just it's an action of some sort. And the 3 is the shield, right? Historically, that is defensive, right? So it has 3 toughness. It likely is a 1 power, 3 toughness.
Yes.
If I were a guessing man, I would say that you probably, in some way, accost your opponent's other character.
Yes.
But I guess the real question at that point would be, is it if Cruella deals 1 damage to Elsa, what happens at that point? Does it stick? Does she have multiple opportunities to deal 1 damage to a character in order to banish them? Something along those lines, or does perhaps defense reset after each turn if you get non-lethal damage?
Right.
Then her in the actual text body there, it says, "You'll be sorry when this character is challenged and banished. You may return chosen character to their player's hand." Right. So, challenged. Right. That seems like a game mechanic at the very least.
Yes.
Which I think this goes towards a Pokemon-esque style. Right. Challenged, likely meaning your opponent is puts their character up, and then perhaps they get to challenge the character and bring them out to do the battle, and banished when they lose, probably there. On the right side, there is that little 4-sided symbol.
Yes.
There,
I was just looking at that.
Yeah, right. So it's not the only one. For this one, there's one of them.
Right.
But for others, there are more.
Yes.
Right.
Like Mickey has 4.
Yes, Mickey has 4. Maleficent has 2.
Stitch has like 5.
All right, so it's very interesting.
No, Stitch has 3. I lied to you.
So Mickey does have 4.
Yes.
And I think Maleficent and Robin Hood both have 2. And Stitch has 3, and Mickey Mouse has 4.
Right.
Right. Very interesting.
I wonder if I'm like jumping back, but like I'm still wondering. I'm wondering if like Storyborn are the characters that they didn't take as many liberties with. Like Storyborn, like Robin Hood, Unrivaled Archer. That is what Robin Hood is. That is his character.
Yep.
Maleficent, the monstrous dragon. That is a Maleficent character, like in the story, that is born of the story. The Elsa is some otherworldly Elsa. Same with Mickey. The Brave Little Tailor does not exist in a Mickey story. So I'm wondering if it's like who is like made up and who is sticking to who they are in the story. Same with Cruella is also, I believe, Storyborn.
So to your point, the Elsa Dreamborn being not of the story origin. When you read her flavor text,
it said that recreated by magical ink, Elsa found herself in an unfamiliar new world. Fortunately, ice works the same way everywhere.
Right.
So it's clear that she's not of the story.
Right.
She was dreamt up.
Dreamborn Elsa is aware that she is
Elsa.
And a glimmer.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Elsa, since we're looking at her, does have several character types to her name.
Yes.
The most, I think, thus far. Dreamborn, hero, queen, sorcerer.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a very specific card that works with her. I just want to go back to, just to finish off Cruella here. That symbol on the right, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's touched on it or what it means. It could be a rarity.
Oh, maybe.
Just because I think that Mickey Mouse is meant to be like a, super rare type there. So my first inclination is that it is.
Because there's no other indicator of that on the card, and there's no way they wouldn't indicate it on the card. It has to be indicated on the card somewhere.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't see anything else that would indicate that. So that has to be what that is.
And I could be wrong.
We could always be wrong.
Yeah,
Nobody knows anything about this.
That's right.
I'm gonna say.
That's right. It's all speculation.
Yeah,
right?
it's fine. Allegedly, that's what it means. But I'm gonna say it's definitely what it means. No.
So let's look at Elsa now that we've talked about her. We're going to jump back over to Elsa. She has a cost of 3, presumably a damage output of some sort of 2, right? Defense 3, and then now allegedly, she does have an amethyst symbol.
Love that for her.
You're big.
Did you also notice that just like out of, completely out of context and subject, but the amethyst symbol kind of looks like the Targaryen symbol a little bit?
Now you know what? Now I see that now. We stand House of the Dragons in this house. Freeze in a symbol, which looks strikingly similar to a tap. That's right. It is a tap symbol. By all accounts here, exert chosen opposing character.
Yeah.
I wonder if exert, means you perhaps turn them sideways.
It might. It may hypothetically, allegedly.
So given that comparison, if we find out that this is almost strictly a Magic reskin, how would you feel about that?
I mean, okay, I don't think that you could say that it's a Magic reskin, because this is literally following the format of every trading card game almost ever. So then you would have to say that every single one of them is a Magic. If you would like to say that Magic is the original that everyone spawned off of, then sure, I'll go with you on that.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's a Magic reskin, because so is Pokemon, so is Flesh and Blood, so is I Said the Thing. Put me on a ban list. I don't even buy the cards. But Pat Shaw's wife is banned from all future events. She said the thing. He's gonna edit that out anyway. It's fine.
Mark it. Do not edit this out.
But yeah, so I think that you can't say that this is a ripoff of Magic unless you're ready to say that every game is a ripoff of Magic.
That's fair. I don't know if that's fair, but I understand what you're saying there.
I get why you're saying that. The cards look exactly the same, but
as a Flesh and Blood player, it is not the same.
I know it's not the same because the whole thing on the thing.
One of the things I'm curious about is the resource system. Resource systems can make and break a card game. So one of the things that turned a lot of people off of Magic, myself included, was the resource system and the potential to get so the resources was mana. You get those in lands. You get mana screwed, which could take you completely out of the game through no control of your own. Right. One of the things I love about Flesh and Blood is that each card serves multiple purposes.
Yes.
And so they can act as a resource as well as an attack or defense card or whatever, whatever card type that might be there. Among other things, love Flesh and Blood.
So what I also find interesting now that you say that is that so if you look at the different products available on the I'm gonna say Lorcana because that's what it is in my head. So until we figure out I'm right or you're right, then I'm gonna say it. So the Lorcana website, you'll see that like the starter decks come with 11 game tokens. And then if you look at the jump-in gift set, it comes with 34 game tokens. And so, like, I'm wondering where those come into play, whether they're some type of resource or whether they're just, like, counters. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think it's interesting that game tokens are included, but not in everything. So that's, it's like, I wonder.
One of the things that I was going to, when we talk about resource systems, it's become more and more popular in digital style games to have an always present but slowly accumulating resource system, right? So you start the game with 0 or 1 resources, and then the next turn you just have 2, right, and so forth and so on with a cap. The game may continue beyond, so like Legends Runeterra is a digital card game where you top out at 10 resources. Okay. The game can continue beyond those 10 resources, and often does, but you cap out at 10. Your next turn you have another 10 and you stay at 10. I'm curious to see perhaps if they have that kind of system, and I say that because of the high cost apparent, the high apparent cost of cards like Robin Hood, Stitch. Both of those are 6 cost. Mickey Mouse is an 8 cost. I believe I saw Maleficent was a 9 cost. So, accessibility to those resources is going to be a potential deal breaker when it comes to the playability of the game. But if you eliminate that variable by making it ever present but slowly accumulating, then at least you have your curve.
So is this Ravensburger's first TCG? Do we know the answer to that?
I believe it is.
Okay. I know they make a damn good puzzle.
They
that.
do make a damn good puzzle indeed.
But I didn't know if this was their first TCG.
Yeah, you talked about the products. Let's jump into the featured products and when they are coming. So, coming to tabletop fall 2023. One of the important aspects about the release of Disney Lorcana is that it is going to be released at local game stores, LGS's, August 18th, and it will hit big box retail a month or so afterwards in September of 2023, which is, we love when LGS is,
yes, I
when
think
we can go to our local game store.
I think that is a good move on the part of the company, because I feel like it means they've done research into what TCG players actually care about, and it's LGS's.
It's true. It's true. I feel dirty getting booster packs from Target.
I know, but I feel like it shows their commitment to not just play on the Disney marketability and to actually find what the people that are going to be playing this game, what they want.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Bringing it to the LGS is such a positive move. All right, featured product. The first thing is so they're labeling this whole start of it the first chapter. So the Disney Lorcana, the first chapter starter decks. They're untitled, but Ashley, why don't you kind of tell us what we're seeing here with the starter decks?
So the starter decks look like they are paired. So you have pairings of the inks. You have the amber and the amethyst, the emerald and ruby, and then the sapphire and the steel in one starter deck pack. So I don't know. I assume that means that you are getting a combined deck of those things and not necessarily, because what are those other decks called? Like dual decks or something like that, when you have, you know what I mean, when you have two decks in one that you can play against each other. It doesn't seem like that is what this is going to be. It seems that it's going to single player starter deck. So you get, it's one deck in there of those two combined inks.
And we do have the so the amber and amethyst features Moana and Sorcerer Mickey.
Yes.
The emerald and ruby, it looks like it's Cruella and it looks like Aladdin.
Yes.
Is that Aladdin to you?
It is. It is Aladdin.
And then you
can see Agrabah in the back.
And what did you say the last two were?
That is Aurora.
Okay.
Also known, I don't know if they would use...
Well, what is the gem type with her?
Oh, Sapphire and Steel. But that's Princess Aurora. Generally, I feel like we see her in pink. But she does wear blue. Okay. But generally, when you get something marketed as Princess Aurora, I feel like it's a pink one. So I'm wondering if, seeing the roses in the background, I'm wondering if it's Briar Rose. Okay. Because that is Princess Aurora's other name.
Very interesting.
So seeing the roses back there, I'm wondering if that's what they're gonna go with as far as the Sapphire goes, and then we have Mufasa. Or is Simba?
That looked like Simba to me. That looks like adult Simba.
That. It is adult Simba. You can tell in the facial structure in the mane.
It's true. So to play Disney Lorcana, each player will need a deck of 60 cards. That's a familiar number as well. Ready to play starter decks.
Never had that number before.
Ready to play starter decks contain a pre-constructed deck with a specific card list. If you're new to trading card games, or if you want to experience the game with a deck designed and tested by Team Lorcana, this is a good place to start. Each starter deck includes one starter deck of 60 cards, including 2 foil cards of the characters on the package front, 11 game tokens, 1 rule book, and 1 booster pack containing 12 randomized cards. Booster packs is also something we're familiar with in the TCG world. Unlike starter decks, booster packs contain 12 random cards from Disney Lorcana, the first chapter. Use booster packs to build and customize your deck with abilities and characters beyond those found in starter decks. Each booster contains 12 randomized cards, 6 common cards, 3 uncommon cards, 2 rare, super rare, or legendary cards, and 1 foil card. We've done a lot of sealed play together.
We have.
We've never drafted
No.
together. I have very limited drafting experience as a whole.
We've drafted together in No, didn't we?
I think we did sealed.
Oh, no, you're right. I think we did. Draft is where you pass it around.
Mhm.
Yeah. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the fact that there are 6 commons, 3 uncommons, and 2 rares, or two rare plus cards, that is the layout of a like a draftable
Yes.
pack. The fact that there are 12 is a little smaller than usual. Usually you have 15, 14 to 15 draftable cards in a booster pack. This has so this actually has 11. Potentially, if they don't, that foil, depending on what they do with that foil card, sometimes that might be like a token slot as well that might just take up some space, but it's not guaranteed that all 12 cards will be able to use. It doesn't mention anything about drafting, so the other part of this is it could simply just be supplemental, but that's one of the big unknowns, right? We don't know about the gameplay. We know that the deck structure is a 60 card structure, but we don't know if there's sealed or draft limited gameplay experiences in the game here. Moving forward, we do have the Jump In gift set. The gift set includes 2 collectible oversized foil cards and 2 playable foil game cards, in addition to game tokens and 4 boosters. The gift set for Disney Lorcana, the first chapter, will feature Mulan, Imperial Soldier, and Hades, King of Olympus. Gift sets include the 2 oversized foils, 2 playable foils, 34 game tokens, and 4 booster packs of 12 additional game cards each.
So I think that's interesting. It does kind of follow if you zoom in on the Mulan and Hades, it does kind of reinforce my theory of Storyborn and Dreamborn.
Yep.
Because they have Hades very much looking like Zeus.
Yep, King of Olympus.
Yeah.
That is traditionally Zeus's role.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't followed the Hercules sequels. I don't know if he ever made it there.
Oh, I've not. No, those don't count. It's original Hercules or bust. No.
Fair. That's fair.
And we did, I think, get another glimpse of, it hasn't, but we see on the booster packs, we see Maleficent in her, I guess you would call it a human form.
Right. As her pre-dragon.
Yes, as the non-dragon form. I didn't mean to roll that. That
is very
unintentional.
Oh, we're gonna capture that one right there.
No, I hate it. But yeah, so I think that's interesting as well, because it means that we can see different variations of. Kind of reminds me of what they did with the Planeswalkers in that one release where you had
like the flippable
Liliana.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, pre-spark.
Yeah.
And then the Planeswalker flip. Yep. Man, those were dire times. That was actually like one of the reasons we stepped away from the game at that point. We had gotten into the game. We played a lot during like Cons of Tarkir, and then when Magic Origins came out, like those all went like to like $80 a pop, and you needed them. And it was just like, we did it for a standard. Meta, it was good, but you can't just keep reinvesting like that. All right, last but not least, the ultimate choice. I feel like this is like the top end of usually the mobile games where it's like best value.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the vibe I get. Ultimate Choice Lumineers Trove, the ultimate treasure for both collectors and players. The Lumineers Trove includes a full art storage box, two deck boxes, 8 booster packs, a player's guide, and more. The player's guide offers a look into the world of Lorcana as well as a complete visual guide to all cards in Disney Lorcana, the first chapter. That's exciting. And also included are deck building tips and game strategies.
Gonna have to have it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that looks like some pretty good stuff there. I'll tell you what, my chief concern from all of these things, the 2 oversized foil cards. It didn't work in Commander.
Right.
They were released with every precon. Wizards of the Coast has a nasty history with foil cards anyways. So it's one, the printing matters.
Yeah.
So they're advertising these foil cards. If they come out as Pringles, that will upset people very much. Outside of the starter packs, starter decks though, it does, these are, it's your bundles.
Right.
The player's guide is
intriguing.
Yeah, player's guide is interesting. The guide for all the Disney cards is interesting. The storage box and the deck boxes, that's a slippery slope. Like if it's flimsy cardboard stuff, we're gonna
it's gonna be that.
Right. We can handle our own deck box needs at that point.
Yeah.
Don't
I hope it's at least the plastic ones.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely there's
my
a standard.
Expectation is
at least from this kind. It really depends on the price point,
right?
For that too.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the other thing we haven't gotten yet is gameplay and price point.
Right. Yes, gameplay and a price point will be very, very important. If those booster packs are $8 a pop, no one's gonna get them.
Right.
Right. So. I think going rate is a $4-ish.
Yeah.
Plus or minus, and I think that's fine.
What were those? The magic ones?
Well, the collectors ones,
Yeah.
The collectors boosters were out of this world.
Yeah.
We're talking. That's like $25 for a booster pack, but that's not meant to be.
I'm hoping the starter decks will be around that.
Yeah, if not less, right?
Like,
I mean, $20.
I mean, ideally less,
right?
But sometimes when I see the Disney name slapped on something, I expect it to be a little more, than the standard. But if they are genuinely trying to bring in actual TCG players and not just going for the collectors, I think that the price point's going to really matter.
Yes, it will 100%.
We might end up with like a Pokemon style, people buying out all the at Target because they sell it an MSRP type of thing for the holidays, especially. I think
and that's a tough it's a tough balance for LGSs to have that. And it happens a lot where to your point, right? If the big box is selling at MSRP and that's what it is, but in order for the depending on the distribution model, the LGS might have to sell it at a markup, to make make its money, and then you end up having to either bite the bullet for LGS loyalty, or not.
Which I love a small local business.
Yeah, so. we love the mom and pops here.
But I see them having issues at bigger box stores especially with collectors. I feel like because game players are gonna go to the LGSs. They're gonna support their local game shops, but the collectors are gonna go buy out Target. Right. Because it's
I think the biggest thing with LGS is pre-orders.
Yes.
Right? You can walk in, you can pre-order your stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do that at Target.
Yeah.
Or Walmart or wherever. Right. So you got to be part of the horde. That comes in. And there's like 100% going to be a segment of collector that just sees Disney. Right. And just swarms at it. Doesn't know anything else about it. Yeah. And only learned that it's going to be, in Target stores.
Well, and cards. Like cards, I mean, collectors flock to cards anyway. Right. But but I think it's going to be, I'm very interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see what like each element, I don't know, they're not elements, but each,
Right. Each ink.
Yep. Because it seems like
Right. Simba in Steel, I think, is the one that kind of like
that
stands
one
out.
makes me feel, and I guess it's like it might be my jewelry background, but like sapphire is a very hard stone. So to pair it with steel makes me feel like that's going to be like the power, like the defense. I don't know if they think
we brought
into
a literal gem expert onto the show.
But it does look like the green cards. We've seen another green card that was released, but they look like they have a level of alchemy type.
Yeah, the inventor. Yes.
Jedko or whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. But yeah, so it seems like that's more of a, and then the amethyst seems like it's sorcery. You see sorcerer Mickey and Elsa is a sorcerer, and so it seems like that one's going to be very like magic focused.
Yep.
But we will see.
So I think the most exciting thing for me, besides the card back, have you looked at the card back?
No.
Oh man.
What?
Besides the card back, accessories. It's the last thing on the main site. Accessories. Protect your collection from wear and tear with card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and card portfolios.
I love a good card portfolio.
Card portfolios are great. I am an accessory freak when it comes to cards.
No.
Yeah, man. But that does mean that I am very particular about things like my card sleeves and deck boxes. So if this is coming from Ravensburger, again, they have to, like, the bar has to be higher than, right, the bargain basement stuff. The card sleeves in particular really have some potential to, to be something really, really cool. But if they're junk, right, and they fall apart or the art rubs off, and they're just not high quality sleeves, people are going to notice, and we'll just go do other things with them. Like we'll just get other sleeves for their cards. But they advertise card sleeves. Each pack contains 65 matte finish card sleeves featuring a Disney Lorcana glimmer. The first characters featured will be Captain Hook, Elsa, and Mickey Mouse. I think what really is exciting about all the accessories here is the art potential, right? And I think that's kind of the overall theme of, like, what is so exciting about all of this. It is getting our hands on, this never before seen, collectible thing with so much of, the art that we've grown up with for such a long time, finally coming together in unique ways. And when you can play a game with it, now you can have card sleeves, you can have deck boxes. Each deck box can hold up to 80 sleeved cards. It's a good number. The first Disney Lorcana deck boxes will feature the same Captain Hook, Elsa, and Mickey Mouse. So you can have your Captain Hook sleeves in your deck box. They've executed that with varying success in Magic before. Sort of like Ultra Pro products and things of that nature. And this is the thing I'm most excited about. Playmats.
You love a good playmat.
Love playmats.
I do also love a good playmat.
There's about 20 playmats right there.
That's a lot.
And there's another 5 or 6 over there. And there's 2 stacked on top of one another right over there. And there's a lot. There's a lot of playmats.
Right, stop pointing them out. We're all done now. All done.
Each playmat features striking artwork of Disney characters. A fabric top prevents damage during gameplay and can also be used as a desk mat or mouse pad, while the anti-slip bottom keeps the mat in place during use. The first Disney Lorcana playmats will feature Maleficent, Maui, and Mickey Mouse.
Ooh.
Right, so that's some spicy stuff right there. So mouse pad, that means it's gonna be the same type of material, that kind of lycra, which is good.
The portfolios is interesting though.
Players can safeguard their collections with portable card portfolios, which holds 64 standard cards as well as 8 oversized cards. The first Disney Lorcana card portfolios will feature Stitch and the Queen.
Do you want to know why I think it's interesting?
I do.
Because we haven't seen the Queen yet.
Okay.
And so Maleficent, I'm assuming they mean Snow White.
Sure.
That queen is generally referred to as the queen.
Right.
Where Maleficent is Maleficent because she's not a queen. She's a witch. Or sorceress. So I think it's interesting because we have not seen the queen on anything yet.
Okay.
But we know she's going to be there. And it seems like she'll play a big part in the release because they're making a portfolio of her.
Okay.
So.
All right. Excellent. As we get to the bottom of this, I think we can go down a big rabbit hole, but we are coming up on, we just crossed over an hour of recording.
Let's go.
And we did it. I think that was good. I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
And we'll come back on the next one. We'll come back and we'll dive deeper. We'll see when Disney or Ravensburger releases a bit more information. We'll come back and we'll do some speculations on what we could see, what we want to see, things of that nature. So I think that's going to conclude it. That's going to conclude it here for the pilot episode of You Made Me Inc., the Disney Lorcana family podcast.
You can't say it like that. You gotta say, "You made me ink."
Okay. you can say that. Sorry. That'll do it for the pilot episode of
You Made Me Ink,
a Disney Lorcana podcast. Where can you find this episode? Well, you can go to YouTube and go to @Off The Rails TCG, and you can find the video upload there. Streaming audio platform is up in the air as of me saying these words. So that is yet to be determined. Likely it will just be on the YouTube channel to start before we host it on that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But social media wise, you can find us on Twitter. You can find the channel @Off The Rails TCG on Twitter. You can find myself @PatSmashGood, and you can find Ashley
Wifey Shaw 8815.
Yeah. Gonna have to get a pod handle.
Yeah, I don't know. Find me not on Twitter. I don't know. Nailed it.
Is that the best place for people to find you if they want to tag you and criticize your takes?
Right now, yeah. I could make one just for this, but right now, well,
that's all right.
We'll go with that one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and that'll do it for us. I'll come up with a clever closing at some point here. I had one for the old pod. Well, I'll come up with something sooner or later here. But that'll do it for us. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.